Okay, guys, just let me know when you are able to view my screen.
Can able to see.
Okay, great. So earlier we had two sessions on the security management, security model, wherein we discussed all the roles. Plus, in the last session, we saw the enterprise structure through ESC, Enterprise Structure Configurator. The first time model of enterprise we create in the system through ESC tool. So that we discussed. So first of all, before I go ahead, if you have any questions, any query on the roles or enterprise structure, please feel free to go ahead. Everything is clear. Okay. Chalo, I will give a little heads up. So when we say enterprise structure, so earlier in EBS, it was called multi-org structure. So now in cloud, we have enterprise structure. So there are different levels in enterprise structure, which we discussed. So the first level, the uppermost level is enterprise. So there could only be one enterprise in the system. It is at the instance level. We can't have multiple enterprises. So we can only load one enterprise. We can't have multiple enterprises loaded in the system. Contrary, in Oracle EBS, we can have multiple BGs, business groups. Okay. So then we have a division level. This again for the reporting part. It's not mandatory to create division in the finance. In HCM, generally divisions. In finance also sometimes we create division. Then we have our ledger. So this is again a very, very important level. So depending upon the chart of account, currency and accounting convention, if we have a requirement for multiple ledgers, we will have multiple ledgers in an enterprise. So this is our ledger level. And then we have legal entities. So today we are going to discuss how to create legal entity manually and through different other streams in the system. So legal entities now in cloud actually is very strong. If we see in EBS, the legal entity was mere formality, if you ask me. It was not having that much of functionalities in legal entity. But now the legal entity level is very strong. As the name suggests, now there are lots of concepts and areas which are dependent on legal entities. So then we have business units. So earlier in EBS, it is called operating unit. But now we have business unit in Oracle Cloud. So in cloud, we have a very, very strong concept of business unit. So there are in cloud, there is a concept of business unit functions, which was not earlier in EBS. So we are going to see that how business functions are assigned to a business unit. We have guys, please be on mute. I request you to be on mute.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. See, the other thing is we have a concept of reference data set, RDS, in cloud, which is again created at the time of business unit. So we are going to see how RDS works in Oracle Cloud. And then we have your inventory orgs and items and everything. Okay. So like in the last session, we saw how to create the first time enterprise structure through enterprise structure configurator ESC in the system. We saw that. So once we create the enterprise structure, then it is loaded in the system. Okay. So here in ESC, we can have a pictorial view of the complete organization, like how many legal entities or business units and other things are created. We can see in a picture form. Okay, so I think last time we discussed how to create, this was the navigation. Then it's a guided process. So we can create our legal entities, BUs and everything. Okay, divisions we discussed. Legal entities. Okay, now coming on to the legal entities. So the definition perspective, we can see that a legal entity is a recognized party with rights and responsibilities given by the legislation. Okay, so basically, if you ask me, for each and every country, there is a TAN or tax number. For example, in India, we have a GST number. Okay, so every registered company in every state, they have their own GST number. So that could be a legal entity, just for the reference. So define a legal entity for each registered company or any entity which is recognized in the law, for which you want to record asset, liabilities, expenses, and income, pay transaction taxes, or perform intercompany trading. So this is a definition of legal entity. So wherever there's a requirement of this type of thing, there we create a legal entity. So there could be multiple legal entities in an enterprise. Now, how to create the legal entities? Okay, so first thing is, when we were creating the enterprise structure in ESC tool, there automatically legal entities were getting created. So this is one way. So there were different parameters, and you can create multiple legal entities first time in ESC tool, depending upon the requirement and other things. Okay. Now the second is, you can import legal entities, and system will automatically create legal entities in the system. Okay, so through spreadsheet templates, which are already provided by the Oracle, we can create legal entities. The third is how to manually create a legal entity, which today we are going to see. So in the setup and configuration, we will see how to create a legal entity manually. All right. So the sequence will be, we are going to create all our entities first time through ESC. We are going to load our enterprise. And after that, if there is any requirement, we can create legal entity either through spreadsheet or manually. Right? I hope this is clear to everyone. So there are some more concepts also with regards to legal entities, which we are also going to discuss. Okay. Okay, so like we have in EBS, we can also map our balancing segments to our legal entities. All right. So generally, company is the balancing segment. So for example, if we have 3 companies, and that is our 01, 02, 03. So we can map these companies to our legal entities. The same concept is there in EBS, and the same is in cloud. Okay. So we can see this thing also on the system. Now we have some legal structures. So these are more pertinent for HCM, human capital management, than finance. But just to give you a little heads up. So like we have legal entity. Okay, so we discussed on legal entity, and entity identified and given rights and responsibilities under commercial law through the registration with country's appropriate authority. Okay. For example, here, if we have a registered office for a company, most likely that is going to be a legal entity. If a company is having 15 registered offices with different GST numbers, so most likely they all are going to be legal entities. Right? Legal reporting unit, the lowest level component of a legal structure that requires registration, used to group workers for the purpose of tax and social insurance reporting, or represent a part of an enterprise with a specific statutory tax reporting obligation. Okay, so a legal entity could also be a legal reporting unit, or we can have legal reporting unit other than legal entity. Legal employer, this is again from the HCM concept. Okay, so wherein actually more or less legal employer and legislative LSD, statutory data, that is mapped to a BG, business group, in EBS, just for the understanding. If you remember, in EBS, we used to map lots of key flex fields in BG. So it is more or less the same thing. Payroll statutory unit, tax reporting unit. Okay. So these are all different definitions of legal structures. Apart from legal entity, these entities are also there in cloud, but they are more pertinent from the HCM perspective. LDGs, legislative data groups. Now, this is important. A means of partitioning payroll and related data. Okay, so this was earlier at the business group level, BG level. At least one LDG is required for each company where the enterprise operate. So one LDG is mandatory. They are associated with payroll statutory units. It is payroll partitioning of elements. Okay, so this is about legal structures. Now we can have relationships also. Okay, so this was about legal entities. And now coming on to business units. Now this is very, very important. Now, what is a business unit? So business unit is a unit of an enterprise that performs one or more business functions, then can be rolled up in a management hierarchy. So basically, work is happening at the business unit level. For example, in a company, we create invoices, we create requisitions, we create purchase orders, contract invoices, sales invoices, receipts. There are hundreds of different transactions which are created in different modules. Now, all these business functions, they come under business units. Now, the data is very, very important. Now, for example, there are multiple offices of a company, and they are integrated to each other, but they are working separately. For example, there could be an office in Mumbai, okay, and that office is handling its own suppliers, customers, creating its own purchase orders, own approval systems. There could be another office in Delhi, which is altogether different than Bombay office, Mumbai office. They have their own suppliers, customers, right? So it's a separate office which has nothing to do with Mumbai. It has all the things in segregation. So in system, you will create business units for these offices to map these offices. Now, if you want to limit an office, for example, you want that in this office only and only payment should be done, not invoices should be created, right? So you can enable that particular business function for that office so that whoever is assigned that business unit will only be working for that particular business function. So this is a very good model now in cloud. You can limit, you can control your business units as per your business functions. And also using the same model, you can have a centralized model also. You can have a centralized or shared service procurement model, payment model, shared service, procurement, payment, invoicing. So all these shared service model can also be created now in cloud. Okay. In Oracle Fusion applications, you assign your business units to one primary ledger, right? And one more thing, when it comes to business unit, in cloud, we have two types of business units. One is your profit center business unit, and the other one is your management business unit. So we will see the difference. So generally, your profit center business unit is a unit which is created for the inventory functions. Okay. So management BU is basically a very strong BU, which is generally having lots of business functions. Okay. So just to tell you, there are two types of business units now in cloud: profit center and management business unit. So our complete data segregation is happening here at the business unit level. Okay. It's a very important level. And like I mentioned, our reference data set also comes into picture at the BU level. So we are going to see this in the system. Okay. Now business unit functions. Now business unit functions were not there in EBS. Okay. So this is a new concept in cloud. So if we see the list of business functions, so these many are the business functions. And if you see the names, they are, self-explanatory. Billing, revenue management, collections management, customer payments, materials management. Let's say we create a business unit and we don't want that this business unit should do any inventory related activity. So we are not going to enable this material management function. Same ways, payable invoicing. So as the name suggests, if you don't want to create any invoices, purchase invoices from this business unit, we are not going to enable this function. So like this, we can have a control, very strong control at the time of business unit creation. Right. Now, when a business unit function produces financial transactions, a business unit must be assigned to a primary ledger. Absolutely. So when you create a business unit, it asks for the ledger and then you give the appropriate ledger, and this business unit is linked to that ledger and a default legal entity. So basically, any business unit is linked to a primary ledger and a legal entity. So under enterprise, we have a legal entity, we have a ledger, then we have a legal entity, and then we have a business unit. But we will discuss on that. It is not, one-to-one. It could be many-to-one or one-to-many. So enterprise structure is very flexible, guys, very flexible. Depending upon the requirement, you can create your own enterprise structure, which is very flexible. It is not that always legal entity will come and then business unit will come. It could be that there is one business unit, management business unit, and under that, there could be hundreds of legal entities. All right. So depending upon the requirement and the structure of a company, you have your enterprise structure. So this comes under all your requirement gathering part. Each business unit can post transaction to a single primary ledger, but it can process transaction for many legal entities. So here we can see it's one-to-one relationship between business unit and your legal ledger, primary ledger, but it could be one-to-many or many-to-one relationship between business unit and a legal entity. Okay. The following business functions generate financial transaction and will require a primary ledger and a default legal entity. So this thing we are going to see in this system. Okay. So here, like I mentioned, we can have a shared service model. So there are different shared service model, but this is little, high level. So I think once we are through with this finance, maybe in last of the sessions, we can discuss on these models. So after this business unit, we have inventory orgs. Okay. We have in cloud, now we have two types of inventory org. We have an item management and we have inventory management. Again, this is more to do with the supply chain. Okay, but just for the reference. So we have inventory organization and we have item organizations. Reference data we are going to see. I mean, high level, what is the definition? Reference data sets are logical groups of reference data that can be accessed by various transactional entities depending upon the business context. Maybe you won't be understanding, but when we are going to create it in the system, then it will be matter mapped. Okay. So in reference data set, it's up to you that it's a predefined reference data set. One reference data set is predefined, which is called common. Okay, so either at the time of creation of business unit, you can use the common reference data set, or you can create a custom reference data set. For example, if name of the business unit is Delhi business unit, so we can have a Delhi reference data set, Delhi RDS, and you can link that reference data set with that business unit. Okay, or you can link common reference data set, which is called common, to that business unit. So This is just a high level definition. So when we are going to create it in the system, then we will have more discussion on reference data set. Okay. Fine. I will again show you on Excel, because this concept is very, very important, enterprise structure. So we have an enterprise uppermost level. Only one enterprise can exist in a system. Now, in any vision instance, you can have multiple enterprises. So don't get confused. They are not loaded. Okay, you can create n number of enterprises, but only and only one enterprise can be loaded. Okay. After that, we have division. Then we have legal entity. Oh, sorry, ledger. Now, after ledger, we can have BU. Under this BU, we can have legal entity. For example, we can have one BU. Okay. Let's say this BU is UK. This is your BU UK. And this is your BU Ireland. So under this, you can have LE1, LE2, LE3, LE4. So let's say there are 4 counties in UK. Okay, so there are 4 counties, and each and every county has its own registration tax number. So under one BU UK, you can have 4 legal entities. Same ways, under BU Ireland, we can have L5, L6, L7. Right? Now the other model could be, we have only one LE in UK, or we can say, let's say, this could be in UAE, and this LE is in Kuwait. But here we can have, they have multiple offices. We can have BU1, BU2, BU3, profit center BU, BU4, BU5, BU6, BU7, right? So this is also possible. So very flexible. Under BUs, we can have inventory orgs. Here we have multiple inventory orgs under BU1. Under IO, we can have sub inventories. Right? So depending upon the structure of a company and requirement, you can create your enterprise structure. Okay, so that is from my side. If you have any questions, guys, from enterprise perspective, please go ahead. Else, we are going to start it on the system.
Sir, how many legal entity we can create?
How many legal entities? You can create as much you want. I mean, 100, 200, 300, not an issue. You can create.
Sir, for every different address, or we can create many for same address?
No, legal entity is created wherein you have a tax registration number. That is one major, requirement. Most of the times, let's say one company in India, they are having 5 offices in different states. Okay, and different states offices, they have their own GST number. So you will have 5 different legal entities in this case, for example. So basically, this is for legal requirement. So as per the legal requirement, you have multiple offices. So that many legal entities you require in this system. This is one principle. Clear?
Yes, sir. Legal entity and what is legal entities is a difference. What is the difference?
Legal entity and
Entity and entities.
okay. LE is legal entity. Okay. So if we have multiple legal entities, we will say legal entities. It is single legal entity. If we have multiple legal entity, we will say legal entities.
Sir, what is county?
What is?
County.
Okay, county. County, like we either in India, we have states. So in some countries, they have a system of county. So like, for example, in UK, okay, we have multiple counties. You have seen in the cricket also. They are very peculiar names, Nottinghamshire, Southam, something like that, Southall. It's a county. Basically, it's like state. So here we have multiple states in a country. So there they have a concept of county.
Okay.
So
Okay.
basically that
This
we will
is-
see in the system once
Yes,
we
yeah.
will go through.
Yes.
Yeah. No worries.
Yes.
So can you tell me what is about the implementation?
What is about?
Implementation project.
Okay, implementation project. Okay, implementation project. Look, this is something very basic and we could have shown you on the system. But let me tell you, people mostly they get confused when they see implementation project. But I think Rahul will show you today. This is something, a small setup wherein you can create an implementation project and you can assign the different tasks on an implementation project to your team members. So this is like you have Microsoft project. So same ways you can create an implementation project and then you can segregate or break up all your tasks to your different members of the team. Okay, so today we will show you, but don't get confused. Implementation project is just a setup. If you want, it is not mandatory. If you want, you can create an implementation project and you can basically track your project. Okay, so this has nothing to do with the actual setup and configuration of the system. So that you can do standalone also. So like point noted, we are going to show you this implementation project. Okay, what else? Okay, great. So-
Rahul, one question.
Yeah, go on.
Rahul, like example, like BU is one. BU1 is one where business happening, right? If example like same business is happening across like 2 or 3 places in one country, so should we consider BU1, 2, 3, or we can consider BU1 only and different places, same business? You can say branches.
Okay, so you said that you have different offices in the same country or different countries.
Yes, same business happening in multiple locations, where we
Multiple
have like
locations.
purchase invoices, sales,
Uh-huh.
like happening across like 3 places in India itself. So we can consider one BU1 only, right? Or BU1, 2, 3.
Okay, it's a very good question. What's your name?
Mohsin.
Okay, Mohsin, this is Manesh. Look, Mohsin, your question is if we have 3 offices, so can we club them and can have single BU, or we need to segregate them into 3 different offices, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now question is very good. So let's say the business will say, okay, we have 3 different offices, but we don't want segregation. All these 3 offices, actually, they are doing the same work and all our suppliers and customers are common. Okay. In that case, we can have only one BU and all the different 3 users will be coming under BU1. But the other case could be these 3 BUs or these 3 offices will say that we have our own different supplier, not supplier and customer, supplier sites and customer sites. We are dealing with them individually. We are working as a profit center. So these 3 offices, they have their own individuality. They have their own, profit and everything. So they don't want to share their data. Now, office number 1 will say, ki, okay, whatever is happening in my office, whichever transactions I am creating, it should not be visible to the user, which is sitting in office number 2. Same goes for office number 3. In that case, you will have three different business units. You got my point?
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Okay. So the
Yeah.
segregation of data confidentiality or requirement, if there is no constraint, they are doing the same thing, then we can have a single BU. It could be 15 or 20 or 25 offices, but they want segregation. They want that their data should be segregated. So then we have different BUs. Okay.
Thanks. Understood.
Okay, great. Okay, any other question, or we should go ahead with the system? Okay. Now I will hand it over to Rahul, who is going to show you legal entities and business unit creation in the system. Okay.
So Manish, can you give me the access, because I
Yes,
don't know,
I
I
am.
was not able to claim it.
Yes. Now you are the host, Rahul.
Okay, thanks Manish. So let me.
Yes, Rahul, we can see your screen.
Good, thank you. So let's whatever we have discussed so far, we will try to map it into the system. Okay. So this is the screen. I went to the setup and maintenance screen. So let me again show you. So once you go to setup and maintenance, so whatever setups you have to do in the application, you have to come here, setup and maintenance. And you have to choose financials, because we are talking about financial offering setups. So these are the functional areas.
Sorry, Rahul, to interrupt you. Can you first show that the draft version, like in Excel, that this is the business unit we are creating? Some example like the Reliance company is there. So what all business units we are creating, what all legal entities we are creating, and then one by one showing that how we are creating the business unit and everything.
Yeah, or maybe other way around. Let's focus on the navigation first, because that we have shown you a lot of time, and there are a lot of PPTs and summarize. So whenever you do any practice and all, you can have your own structure. It's very flexible, right? So
Okay.
let's go what I am showing, and then if required, we will do on other things, right?
Okay, sure, yeah.
So when we go to the financial offering, these are the different functional area or tasks need to be performed to complete your financial setups. So we will start with, as we are talking about enterprise. So the first step is enterprise profile creation. Okay. So first thing in this is you have to manage your geographies. So one of the guy has asked the question, what is county and all. So let me show you what is there in the manage geographies, because this is a vision instance, or everything is already defined as a part of the country. So let's see what is the structure is defined for United States as a country. Okay. So I am searching United States. So this country is already defined in the system. So if I show you the structure defined for this country, you see this is state, county, city, and postal code. So similarly for India, it can be state and city only, because there is no county in India as such, right? But in US, these are the high level structure, which can be used to define any location, right? A physical location or a legal address and all. So you have to define all this geographical structures in the system. So this is first important thing. Okay. Then Then there are other validations you can put on the geography side, like is it list of values. So this state, county, and city, nobody, when somebody was trying to create a new location or address, there should be always a LOB or a state is already coming into it, that nobody will put Orinio with different spelling. So it will corrupt the data, and also all these validation you want to put in the system, right? So that the data should be always clean. Then there will be tax validations, like when we define any tax regime and all, that has the tax information should be validated and all. So these are the things which are there as a part of the validation as well. So these are all HCM related thing or initial thing. This is not anything related to finance, but I am just showing you because it's just the initial step. So you should be a little bit aware of this. You don't have to go into depth of this, but yes, you should be aware what kind of geographical structures are available in the system. Then the next important task which is to be done here is the enterprise. So once you define your enterprise, which is one for each instance, you have to give the HCM information for that. So in this instance, especially what we are currently using for the demo purpose, we already have an enterprise loaded into the system, and we have some HCM information provided into it. So let me try to open this page and show you what all HCM information definitely we used to capture. So you see, this is the enterprise information related to human resource. What is the start date of the organization? What is the name? Then what kind of workday information we have? Like the start time is 8 a.m. It is weekly. Then what is the enterprise information? How the worker number should be generated, or it is automatic or system generated? How many persons in number? Like whenever you define an employee, what is the initial employee number? If it is a system generated number, all this setup is here, correct? So this is mostly all what you provide as a part of your enterprise HCM information. So what are the positions, job location, and how you want to synchronize these things? So all these setups are related to SCM and SCM information you gave here. Okay. So if you complete all this, and if somebody wants to edit this information, anytime you go to edit, either you can update it or correct it. So once you update it, that means no audit will be there. It will be base value will be updated. If you correct it, then the original value and the change value both will be there. So that's how you can do it. But nobody, once it is done, nobody touch this. Okay. This is how you complete your enterprise profile. This is basically an initial setup. Either a SCM guy in the implementation team will do it. He will try to create or load the geographies. You can do this through Excel, or manually you can create those geographies. And once your enterprise is loaded, you try to edit your HCM information. That's how your enterprise profile will be created, right? Then comes the important part, that is legal structure. So to create a legal entity, the first thing which you need is legal address. So somebody asked the question, can I have multiple offices in a single legal address? That is, by law, it is not allowed, right? If you want to make cell companies, then you can use the same address for a same company, correct? So if I try to create one legal address here under United States, so this is the country. I am just giving any dummy just to be fast track. Address line 1. Otherwise, it is best practice you give some meaningful addresses and all. City, like sorry. So if I have to create it, I have to go to the plus sign. This is just for searching. So United States, I go RAL address line 1. Then city, as I told you, in geography, we have these validations and LOVs, right? So I can search, like, for example, New York here. So these are some of the cities already there. So I will just choose any one. Then postal code. Okay. So this is the location or legal address got created in the system. We will try to use this in when we will define. So save and close. Now I will go to manage legal entities. So this is a very important point in the navigation. This is a scope tab. So right now this is giving me RAL info limited. So whatever activity I'm doing, I will have to. So I have to change the scope first. Okay. So I will go say that I am trying to create a new legal entity. Apply and go to task. So this is for creating a new legal entity in the system. I will go to again plus sign. So let's have country as United States only. RAL INFOSYSTEMS 1 just for safety. So legal entity identifier can be your tax registration number or company legal entity number, whatever is provided that business will provide. So I will just put anything at this point of time. Then I will try to choose the RAL legal address which I have just created. So this is the one which we have created as a legal address. Okay. Now, as we see, this legal entity can be for payroll, statutory unit, and legal. So it runs the payroll for the employees and it also hires the legal employers. So if you choose this, then these things you have to flag, right? This is the function of the legality, what all it can do. Then again, this corporate business number is if there is something which is additional number is there for the corporate level. Then the legal reporting registration number. You can put so legal reporting number can be same as what is the legal entity we are defining. If there is no requirement for having a separate legal reporting entity, then it is always can have only one. Okay. So let me try to save if. So it is giving me that I have to give a unique number. I don't know why this is coming. So this is how we will be defining the legal entity. So you have to give your legal entity identify number and all. And that's it. So this is individually, manually, I am creating a legal entity. Okay. Now let's see. Now let me try to see if I can see the reporting unit also. So if I select the one which we have just created. So I will go to search. So RAL info So you see, this is the legal entity I have already created, right? Just now. And if I just say, so I'm choosing the scope of this, save and close. So now you see RAL Infosystem. No, this is not still not got selected. So I will just try to select it again. Apply and go to task. So this is what I have selected. Okay. Done. So this is the legal entity we have created, right? Uh, so this is how you can create your legal entity. I was just trying to show you the reporting unit, but the only thing is why uh, apply, go to save and close. Yeah. So now this is the reporting unit. If you want to create one, you can create your uh, uh, reporting unit also, but this is not required as such. But if it is only required when uh, you have a different reporting unit than your legal entity, otherwise you just have to create your legal entity. I'm not going into this. So this will create your legal entity. So we have seen how you will create enterprise profile, how will you create legal structure, right? And then now we will try to go to organizational structure, where we'll be trying to create a business unit. Okay. So if I go to manage business unit here, so I will go again to plus sign. Now, as somebody asked in the question that how many business units, if there are 3 offices, can we have 1 business unit or 3 business unit? Depends on the function of that business unit or the requirements. If you want to really, if the thumb rule is, if you want to segregate the data, right? Like for example, there will be a separate purchase order, there is a separate invoices you want to book, then you definitely need different business unit and you want to segregate that data and view the purchase orders separately, then you need a separate business unit. So all that design considerations you should have. Now I am here creating one business unit for RL. Then let me try to use any existing location. I'm not going to create any specific location. I'm just using existing location. This is the default set, the reference data set what Manish was talking about earlier, right? So you have to either you have to choose one or you have to create one. Okay, so I will try to choose right now the existing one, which there is one predefined data set which is called enterprise in the application. Okay, so I am trying to use the existing data set and then we subsequently see what is the impact of it and how it is used. I am not creating any new data default set. I am just using the application predefined enterprise default set for that. And I just say save and close. This will complete my business unit definition. Okay. Now comes the most important part of assigning the business unit function. That's what we talked in detail, that a different business unit can have different functions. So let's see. So again, I have to choose the correct scope to do all this. So let me go select and add, apply and go to task. Then I will try to search my business unit, which I just created, RAL business unit 1. Okay, this I will just select this, and then I have to go save and close. This is very confusing navigation, but always remember, you just have to change the scope if you want to work on your specific business unit or legal entity and all. So once you save and close it, then it will open the RAL business unit page for assignment. So these are the different functions a business unit can perform. Like for example, a business unit which only responsible doing payments, payable payments. Suppose if I enable this for ideally, if you want, we can enable all, but that is not advisable because you have to discuss this particular business, what function it has, or it is doing invoicing also, then we will choose invoicing also. If it is creating purchase orders, then we have to choose procurement also, right? If it is doing item receiving, then we have to do receiving also. Now, if this uh, organization is only doing a function of requisition, the employees assigned to this business unit will only do requisitioning, then only this you can enable. So that's how you will enable multiple functions. And based on these functions, you see primary ledger and default legal entity it is asking. So I have to attach any primary ledger. So let's see if I have US primary ledger, if I will attach. So as of now, I will just attach any of this. And then the default legal entity. This is just a default. It is not that this business unit is attached to this legal entity. It is just a default right now. It can have, once you book the transactions through this business unit, like a purchase order or an invoice, then you can choose a different legal entity also during the booking of your invoicing. So if I just save and close this, then the functional assignment and this business unit is ready for use. So this is how you create a business unit and assign a functions what it performs. So these are the two very important part. Then I will show you lastly is how you can create inventory orgs also. You want to create an inventory org, go to manage inventory organizations, and you can create your inventory org also here. So like I will say RAL inventory org 1. This is the name. This is the code. So whenever you try to give any code or unique identifiers, you please try to do like underscore and all. Now you thought this is inventory management. This is the usage actually. So as we told you, there are two types of inventory of one for tracking the transactions, another is for item definition. So slowly we will go into details of this, but this is again supply chain specific. How, what is the purpose of this inventory org? Okay. So as of now, this is for inventory management. What is the management business unit? I think I can choose RAL, which I just created as a business unit. Okay. So let me search. Interesting. So this is not coming. What RAL business unit is not coming at this point of time, but we will see. This is, I have to search what is the reason about it. But anyway, the management business unit and all these business units you have to assign to it, and also the legal entity, right? So anyways, this will based on the business unit, whatever legal entities are attached to it, then all those things will come. Okay, I cannot choose RAL now because I am not able to choose RAL business unit here. So I'm just defaulting whatever is coming at this point of time, just to complete my setup. So that's how you just can create your inventory org. So if I just go into next. So it is asking me the multiple controls of the inventory org, like item, what is the item master organization you want to choose for this? As I told you, these are two different inventory org, one for managing the transactions, another is to defining the item. So whatever mandatory, I will try to just give these informations. This is purely supply chain part. We don't want to cover this in this session in detail. This is all the controls what inventory org can have. So I will just quickly try to just save and close so that I will complete this setup. Okay. So I think I just missed any mandatory fields here. That's why it is not allowing me to save.
It was there in the first tab only.
Okay.
Second. Yeah, item grouping behavior. Second.
Okay. So, okay, fair enough. Thanks. So let's try to close this now. So now I was able to define my organization also. So let's try me to search this if I can. Sorry. So this is the inventory org which we have just created. Okay. So what we have seen here is we discussed about enterprise profile, which is nothing but you have to define your geographies, your country structure, what all validations you want to put in your geographical structure. Then what are the HCM information, how your organization as a part of your workload, what is the timing, what is the schedule of work, and all that HCM information, payroll, and all that information will consist of your enterprise profile. Then we try to create legal structure based on your legal entity definition and all. Then we have created business units in the organizational structures and assign the business functions to that, and your primary ledger and legal entities. So this how you can navigate. Now somebody in the initial asked, can we have a structure? And so this is, you people definitely can go and create your own structure as we discussed in previous class. Like for our Tata group, this is one of the enterprise model, right? You can implement this model and define your legal entities, ledger, divisions, business units, correct? That's what I was trying to say. If you know the navigation and if you are clear with your enterprise structure in your model and you have agreed with your business, that's how you will go with your implementation, right? So I think that's all from my end from the system point of view. Still, if there is any questions, please let me know. We can